I'm here with Tyler Campbell, a motivational speaker and MS advocate, and he shares about the male perspective around MS. What does that mean? I don't know. We're going to find out right now. So the male perspective in MS, like I know half of the population that has MS are ladies, but do we have any specific needs, sir?
Hey man, the fellas have MS too. You don't know. You don't know. Mic check. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Now, but like I say that to say because I don't. For me, I've learned to speak more vocally about it. Also, because I've always admired a woman's perspective of the way they live their lives, the way that they are able to dialogue amongst each other, build a community around each other. And for us as fellas, we say, oh, that's what ladies do. But in all actuality, man, we need to be taking notes of the way a woman communicates effectively and how they can build strength with the numbers that they surround themselves with.
The community.
The community. And if we're talking about, and you hear it all the time, what do you hear about from your neurologist or other people of influence in the MS world? They say, hey, you need to be a part of a support group, or you need to inform your family. And so, hey, those things apply to us, fellas. Absolutely. Okay, we need to be also conversing amongst male to male, because you need that level of specific community. You do. You need a male's perspective for you as a male.
No, it's important that you say that in that way, TC, because like a lot of being a man is sort of doing it all, by yourself, or yeah, right. I mean, your guns are bigger than mine, but just being that rugged individualist that is a man these days.
Yes, and here's the beautiful thing about our, like, this generation there are different levels of manhood. And I think that kind of goes swept underneath the rug. I think, one of the biggest things that I hear from people who are of my father's generation and beyond, I took notes, right? There were conversations that they always wanted to have with other fathers, their grandparents, uncles, other men of influence, but they never felt like they were allowed to go there. And so for me, I think like the whole MS community, it's wide open for men right now. And so let's launch a new perspective, since we're already raised underneath that level of like, we don't talk about stuff. We got to muscle through this thing. Let's change and flip the narrative in a wide open community of the MS community. And watch this. We can be empowered as men with MS to where we're not just like pulling back the curtains of our MS amongst each other. No, we're actually taking the power back into the community and in the world. And we're educating other men like, yo, let's get together, fellas. Let's talk about some things. Let's dive in deep, because there are some things that we can help each other with that may be uncomfortable if we were to try to talk to a woman about them.
That's real, because a lot of this disease has a lot of various attributes, aspects. Like that's why I fumbled for the word. I was like, anyway, there's a lot to sort of to rectify when you not only have a disease, when you're a man and have this disease. And so like, how does that fit into like your focus or like part of your narrative? Because you legit not only are out here for MS, but you're out here for men with MS. Like what is that?
I just for living with it for so long, I honestly felt like it wasn't just something I woke up and started doing. I felt like in living with MS, starting when I was 21 years old, I'm 34 now, people. This narrative started being 21. So it took me time to get here. And the whole mission of why I'm trying to enforce it is I want other men to get to this place faster than I did. Damian, you talk about 12 years of 11 years of holding it in, and now being able to share those tears freely without judgment.
So like what are the things you talk about? That's why I'm like, no. So is it like, my knees hurt, but I'm a man, so I'm gonna keep walking.
So like, for me, it is the standpoint of getting to a place of, number one, it's okay to shed tears. I think it starts there. I used to shed tears in private. Now I can shed tears openly and in public, even amongst other men, to let them see the vulnerability. Because now we're trying to combat a disease, but emotionally we're still broken and we're not letting our body fully heal back to itself because we're walling off emotions. So a big part of what I discuss starts off with dealing with the level of emotional brokenness that starts with our past by bringing back those real life manly perceptions that you and I just talked about, the whole muscling through, the whole be private. And then listen, erectile dysfunction evolves out of that. You gotta get into people's heartstrings with vulnerability. And then a past brokenness, which everybody can identify with. And then we get even more vulnerable by opening up the window of the elephant in the room, right? Which does happen with MS, even if it's not the first conversation that happens out of your neurologist's mouth.
Right.
But it does happen. We level over into erectile dysfunction. So, but there's got to be a level of openness where the brokenness has come from. So to gain another man's trust, because he can empathize, that's the word, empathize with where you're coming from, because that's where he is or where he has been with multiple sclerosis.
You know, it's funny because for a long time, I just checking in with my neurologist, you know, and he's going down his list. He's like, oh, what is this symptom? What is that? And he's like, how are you doing with this? How are you doing with diet? How are you doing with exercise? How are you doing with your intimate time? And like, and it's one of those questions you're just sitting there, you're like, is there any help that I could get with that, doctor? And you know, you get the help. And I'm only telling this long story like this because by the time I got the prescription filled, I went to go pick it up, and there was a young man. This is what happens when you're 40.
I love this story. I love this story because I've heard it from you, but the people need to hear it. Keep going. I love this.
That's what I'm saying.
I love this. Y'all get the window seat to Damian Washington right here. Window seat.
So I'm, you know, I hand the prescription to the dude, and he's, I come back and he's handing me the stuff, and I'm like, oh, does this stuff does this work?
What is it?
And in one motion, the man was at the computer doing his work. And then I'm like, does this work? And he's like, and it goes back to what he's doing.
Without saying a word.
So I say that in that way to just be like, yeah, like in a lot of ways, TC, like the perception of a man gets in the way of us having our most vibrant life as a man. And taking that help that you may or may not need, or sort of broadening your idea of living with a condition, being a man living with a condition, you know?
Yeah, and here's the deal. When you if you don't open up that box, we all know the weight of stress and what it does to us. And so when I talk about getting people to a place to go further and to get there faster than I did, I can't even tell you how angry I am with myself personally, because I held so much of this manly machismo stuff in, which caused me to relapse at a more rapid rate because of the stress built up within that is not being released in a positive and safe way. So this discussion has to happen out of the hope that we can get other men to not relapse, to not progress, to not feel isolated, to not feel alone. We are emotional beings too. It's not just women. As a matter of fact, the studies for adolescent men find out that we are oftentimes, if not the same, if not more emotional than our female counterparts. Right. But a lot of times that knowledge, it gets swept under the rug. Basketball coaches don't talk about that. Teachers don't discuss it. Your father may not have been there, or you didn't get that knowledge from somebody. So we have to catch men up. We have to catch men up. We can't just be okay with being behind our female counterparts.
So you out here, like, you know, helping men get in touch with their feelings and stuff, and like, it's okay if you cry, you still a man. Like,
it's very much simple, and I love the simplicity of it. I'm not out here trying to reinvent the wheel. I just want to meet people where they are, and to see them in their brokenness, because I've been broken before, and it's constantly. I think life is all about addressing your brokenness, meeting it head on, and being in a circle of influence to help repair what's been broken, so you can all progress. That's what I
this
feel.
why I hang out with you, TC.
That's the vulnerability piece. That's what I talk about. Is you're not. I am not a man who has not been broken. I am not a man who is invincible. I am not a man who has not shed tears. I am not a man who has not cried tears through erectile dysfunction issues with my wife.
You know, it's funny because I aim always to when I aim to not use the word "not" in my language, in my vocabulary, because I want to talk about what is. However, the way you have sort of been like, no, I am a person who doesn't have these hangups, who doesn't doesn't face these things head on. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying? So like that sort of negation really is, that's an important thing. That's the thing that makes what you do fantastic.
It's just, I'm a lifetime learner, and I try to be a lifetime listener. And I think that they're two-way streets. I feel like every time we open up our mouths as men for us, there's also another man who can speak life to us, back into us, if we can just make it like an open conversation.
Yeah. So, okay. So you what is it? You got ED, or like, oh man, I can't do all the things that I used to be able to do, like lift this and cook this, right? So like that's low hanging fruit man issues. But as you're out here as a patient advocate, is there more depth to this topic?
Yeah, there's a lot more depth, man. We've had that conversation. There's a lot more of trust issues that have to be broken through. And that, go ahead. That I feel like that the T word is where a lot of the getting there. Once you get through there, it's like the waterfalls flow. But that T word of trust, that's the one, and that's why you have to get into the heart of a person to make it open. Because if you can't get that level of trust, I want to get to you before, but because if I don't get to you, you may not trust what your neurologist is trying to tell you. You may not trust, when good information does come your direction, you may be so walled off that you do miss the good when it comes, Steve. It's hard work, but I encourage people to. I'm open about my therapist. The reason I'm able to get here is because I seek counsel. To have help. And that is the other aspect too. To learn how to trust, I had to have help to learn how to do those things.
Yeah. Wow. The vulnerability, speaking about things that you wouldn't normally as a man, trust is a major theme through all of this. That's why it's a beautiful thing that you're out here in this way for that.
And I'm and here's the combat. What you're combating against is you're combating against the music people listen to. You're combating against the values and the morals and the principles that people have been living over. You're battling up against the entertainment that people see or visualize through their screens, through their iPhones, through the ads. So that's where it is a fight. Make no, and it is a principle where I have to literally open up all of my business and make it public so that I can earn your trust. So that I can't hold back anything. You have to see my wife. You have to see my children. You have to see my good days and my bad days, and know I have to open up everything.
Wow.
And I'm opening up everything,
Wow.
not so you have to, but just so you can trust me.
Wow.
And so the good, the bad, all of my stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
It's not for me, D. It is for we. It is for community. But you can't expect to earn somebody's trust, D, if you one night with somebody, one day with somebody, one speech with somebody. It's way deeper than that. I have to live by this. Yeah. This is my life.
Look, this is your life. This is our lives, and our lives are choices. What we will do, what we won't do, what has already been put in us, what we've learned. And so like all of these choices, and you as somebody who is choosing to be out in front and choosing to be vulnerable. And through that, there's so many people that you are helping and are finding space that is only held by your vulnerability as an example.
Yes. You're right, D. It's real. It's real, D. You just took it all, twisted it, and refined it, and made it sound so eloquent and beautiful. I don't know if y'all listened in the way he just tied all of that narration, alliteration, whatever. To make it personal. But that's it. I think that is it. I have to give you a window seat into my heart so you can nitpick it and judge it and be able to feel like my knowledge is trustworthy for you to be able to receive. But I'm okay with that.
Wow. Okay with that. It's special. Like there's all, I'm pausing so many times in this interview because I'm getting tripped up on words and I want to say so many different things because the way in which you have made clear the things that are more opaque in a man's disease course. Yes. And the bravery and the vulnerability that it takes to make that happen, you embody that and you show others how to do that as well.
That's all I want, man. D, further and faster. I want you to go further and faster. I want you to break open more barriers than Tyler ever did. I just want to be the vessel that helps somebody cross over the river, cross over the lake, cross over the pond so they can get to the blessings that they're supposed to receive on the other side. And I don't need any credit for it. I just need you to know that it's possible. It is, and watch this, D. All it is everything that I wanted and never received when I got my MS diagnosis.
Wow.
So how about that?
That's
the mission. That's it.
Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Easy. My website is iamtylercampbell.com. So you can check that. But at TC Speaks 32 on all social media platforms.
That's right.
And hey, we are in it together, man. And we have a voice. And watch this. The ladies want to learn from us anyway. They want to know the mind of a man and what we're thinking with MS.
Whole lot.
Yeah.
That's why I asked, like, where can we find you? Because it's community. It's trust in the community. It's all of these things that you have highlighted as you have spoken about this topic with me. And they're all the important pegs of which bring together identity. And the identity, your manness is part of your identity. And now you have a new reality. So how do you reconcile that?
Identity, new reality. That was beautiful, brother. Identity to new reality. That's beautiful.
No, I appreciate you coming through and speaking with us here.
It was a pleasure.
Again, this vulnerability is not something that is in the culture of being a man.
A man. Hey, black, brown, green, yellow, purple. Everybody says, right. Hey, you will tie everybody in together. Man.
Right.
Man.
Right. No, it's you're doing great work out here around that. So I appreciate that. Thank you. And I appreciate you coming on the show and talking about it. Thank you. And I appreciate y'all tuning in, and we will see you on another MS Views Now.